Next, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's comments on the recent dinner former President Trump had with a white nationalist. The remarks came as Senate Republican leaders briefed the press on Capitol Hill. Other topics included the spending bill, competition with China, and energy prices.
Were you watching the soccer match? Is that what you guys were doing?
Still 0-0. Well, good afternoon, everyone. First, let me just say that there is no room in the Republican Party for anti-Semitism or white supremacy. And anyone meeting with people advocating that point of view, in my judgment, are highly unlikely to ever be elected President of the United States. Second, Senator Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, Leader McCarthy, and I had a meeting with the President earlier today.
So what's on tap for today, folks? Well, you're about to meet a new kind of animal. That's right, folks. It's a new form of, let's just say, an organism that's within the Republican Party. It's a combination of a rhino and a turtle, and the backbone of this animal is that of a jellyfish. We're talking about the leader, the minority leader of the Senate, Mitch, the rhino turtle McConnell. And as you just heard in that soundbite before, he came out immediately, shot over the bow right to President Trump, answered it like a true rhino, a true moderate, a true friend of the Democrats, of the progressives, right? What I want to do in this reaction video is to show you these clips, tell you what the answers should have been from people that have a titanium spine, not a spine made from a jellyfish, and to show you how the media narrative is starting to be shaped already. We saw that immediately as soon as President Trump declared his candidacy. But just check out the folks here from C-SPAN, folks. Even the narrator, watch how she puts the narrative together by saying immediately that Trump's meeting with the white nationalists. And oh, by the way, they're going to be talking about some other important things, like the economy, finances, the railroad strike, those kind of things. But those are by the wayside. This is much more important. This has to do with so many people's lives that President Trump supposedly did meet with someone who is a white nationalist, a white supremacist. President Trump has already said that he had no idea who this guy was, and nothing like that was even discussed at the dinner. But that's not going to hold back the media narrative. Anyway, so listen closely as we go through this once again. Listen very closely here, folks.
Next, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell's comments on the recent dinner former President Trump had with a white nationalist. The remarks came as Senate Republican leaders briefed the press on Capitol Hill.
So see right there, immediately, boom, President Trump had dinner with a white nationalist, as if that's what he does all the time. That's what all Republicans do, especially President Trump. They just have dinner with a white nationalist, a white supremacist, anti-Semites. Happens all the time. This is the way that the news, the media mafia cartels, right? Our alphabet networks, this is how they go ahead and plant these narratives and spin this stuff in the way that they go ahead and do it. And then we're going to watch in the way that, McConnell should have answered that question is that I know exactly what you're talking about. President Trump met with Kanye. He met with Nick Fuentes. President Trump has said that he had no idea who Nick Fuentes was. Those ideas, those things were not brought up at the dinner table. President Trump said that if they were, they would have been shown the door, and that's it. And then he could have gone on to say, and we also say that there is no place for anti-Semitism, white nationalism, white supremacy anywhere in America, whether it's in the Democratic Party, whether it's in the Republican Party, whether it's in the Independent Party, whether it's in any way, shape, or form, anywhere. It is not to be condoned. And then he could have gone on the offensive and he could have said, But let's take a look at what happens within the Democrat Party. Why don't you ask these same questions of Ilhan Omar? Why don't you ask the same question of Rashida Tlaib? Why don't you ask of Keith Ellerson out against the Attorney General in Minnesota? And some of the other so-called, members of the Democratic Party, when they talk about this, and they have said anti-Semitic remarks. But no, why do you always single it out to people on the Republican side? And that's where you've got to go on the offense. That's what we talk about. You've got to be on the offense. You can't be on defense in politics. President Trump showed us how that's done. That's exactly what needs to be. Now, this next clip, what we're going to do is that the reporter is going to ask Senator McConnell again one more time. This time, the first time, when he was asked the question, he basically comes out. I'm sorry, he wasn't asked the question. He just came out and makes a statement. Now the reporter is going to put Trump's name in it. Let's see the reaction to what he answers to that reporter, and then we'll talk about what his answer should have been. We'll do that with this cut right now.
Leader McConnell, in light of what you said, that there's no room in your party for anyone who harbors these anti-Semitic views, if Donald Trump wins the Republican nomination, would you support him?
Look, let me just say again, there is
And stop. And here we go. Let me just say again. His answer should have been absolutely. If Donald Trump wins and is the representative of the Republican Party for the President of the United States, which I believe he will, that's the answer that a true America First candidate, but he's not. He's a progressive, or he's a moderate. They don't want this, folks. You have to understand. This is the leaders of the Republican Party. In fact, the leaders of the Democrat Party. In fact, all the leaders within government. It is no longer a movement of R versus D, of right versus left. I mean, we talk about that, but it is about the elites in power versus the people who are not. It is about what we talk about, country club versus country class. And that's what's happening, folks. And if you were to ask Mitch McConnell, you gave him truth serum, and you said, Donald Trump wins, and give us a scenario. Donald Trump wins, and we have no power, or Donald Trump loses, and I have a little bit of power. The Senate has some power. What scenario are you going to choose? I'm telling you, folks, Mitch McConnell and those people in power, the elitists in Washington, who want to rule over us with what we talk about, what? Rules for thee, meaning us, but not for we. They make all the rules that are going to benefit them and the people that they represent and the powers that they represent, the globalists that they represent, but not the people that are, that make up the country. What we talk about, the common people, the hardworking American women. That's the question that you've got to ask. Why is that? And that's what's happening right here. That's why he doesn't want to answer this question right away. And let's continue on with this, with what he says.
No room in the Republican Party for anti-Semitism or white supremacy.
No crap, Sherlock. Of course there's no room. And as I said before, it should be what? There should be no room for anti-Semitism, white supremacy, white nationalism across the board anywhere in America. In corporation, in small business, anybody's house, in schools, in churches, in synagogues, in mosques, anywhere, in government. It shouldn't be there. Shouldn't be in the Democratic Party, Republican Party. Shouldn't be anybody running for that. But where are the same questions being asked on the Democratic side? Did you ask this question to Ilhan Omar? Did you ask this question to Rashida Tlaib? Of course you didn't. That's what they need to fire back. They need to fire back his singular. We give him 100% support. He wins the reelect. He wins the nomination. He's our nominee. He's going to win. We stand behind him 100%, 1,000%, 1,000,000%. That's exactly the way that the answer should be worded. Go on the attack, go on the offensive. But you've got a spine, you've got a jellyfish for a spine. You're not even I don't even know why we call themselves the Republican in name onlys. That's exactly what they are. But rhinos, they stand their ground. These are like weak rhinos. And they come out and they don't defend anybody because they want to control their power for themselves. If it means that Donald Trump isn't president, we don't have a president that's a Republican, all right, that's fine. At least we have our own little, I've got my fiefdom. I'm minority leader of the Senate. That's better than being minority leader of the Senate with President Trump in power, because guess who's going to where's the power coming from? It's coming from Trump. Where's the lead going to be? It's going to be from Trump. Where's the agenda going to be set? It's going to be set from Trump. They don't want that to be. They want it to be set where they can sort of get together with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and all the others and put something together that's going to help them and not America. But they're going to peddle it to us as if they're trying to help with America. And so that's what goes on when these guys come together for these questions. But I want to take you to how this articles now are being shaped within the media press, and we're going to go to that right now. So here you see McConnell suggesting that Trump is highly unlikely to win the presidential election due to Kanye West, and Nick Fuentes' dinner. And this is coming from, what did I tell you? CNBC. Of course, folks, a leftist media outlet. We all know that. We know what CNBC stands for. It's the corporation that's never been conservative. And this is the narrative that we're going to hear leading up to the 2024 elections. You're going to hear Republicans come on this on CNBC. Of course they do. They come on MSLSD, right, which we know is MSNBC. They come on the never been conservative NBC, Alternative Broadcasting Corporation, ABC, right? The cabal broadcasting system, CBS. Come on, folks. We all know this is what's happening. Take a look and see what this is. We talked about this here. Let's go. Oh, there he is right there. Yep. The turtle, the rhino, spine of a jellyfish as he is leaving a pack of reporters. So, again, we ought to first, let's say, no room in the Republican Party for anti-Semitism or white supremacy. Anyone meeting with people advocating that point of view, highly ever unlikely to be elected president of the United States. Oh, going back to this article, what's he suggesting here, Mitch McConnell? Unlikely to win the presidential election. He didn't say the Republican nomination, right? He said the presidential election. So McConnell already knows that President Trump pretty much has the Republican nomination sewn up. All right? So this is his shot across the bow in terms of, the presidential side of it. Now, point blank, would he support Trump if he won the 2024 GOP nomination? Without coming out and saying, absolutely, he is a nominee of our party, we're going to support him. They didn't do that in the very beginning in 2016. They were running as far away as they could because they were afraid they were going to lose the Senate and the House, lose the Republican Party for centuries, lose conservatism. Nobody would know what the word stood for. It was going to be complete, decimation of the party. And instead, Trump, not only did none of that happen, folks, he elevated the party to heights that it's never been there before, brought on people that the Republicans could never bring on board, and at the same time kept the House, kept the Senate. And if he hadn't been, attacked by the Republicans and the Democrats and everybody else in the establishment, the deep state, for every single day, 24/7 for 4 years, who knows what more great things could have been accomplished by Trump than all the other great things that he accomplished and the promise that he delivered on. So again, as we said before, in politics, offense, never defense, never back on your heels, never defending against a Hail Mary pass. No, you are blitzing every single time, folks. That's what you need to do. And that's exactly what Trump does here. He fires back at McConnell, says Mitch is a loser for our nation and the Republican Party. Would not have been reelected in Kentucky without my endorsement, for which he begged me because he was going down. Now, Trump says, he comes out, why doesn't anybody take anybody on face value? They only believe certain people when they say something. Somebody comes out, Trump comes out, he says, guess what? I had no idea who this douche was, Fuentes, when he arrived with Yi. He says, I never heard of the guy. And then he said he had no idea what his views were. And he says they weren't expressed at the table at our very quick dinner, or it wouldn't have been accepted. For crying out loud, President Trump, he's got Jewish grandchildren. He's got Jewish son-in-laws. He's not anti-Semitic. He's not he's not a white nationalist. He's not a white supremacist. But what the Democrats need to do first is they need to look at a mirror themselves, and so do the rhinos. And here's another rhino, Kevin McCarthy. Of course he comes out. Of course you come out. You say you condemn the ideology, but this is the card that they hit us with. The card, it's the what? It's the B card. Oh, you're a bigot. Oh, it's the R card. Oh, you're a racist. Oh, it's the WN card. You're a white nationalist. Oh, it's the WS card. You're a white supremacist. Oh, it's the AS card. You're an anti-Semite. When one doesn't work, you got all these other cards in your deck to go ahead and put down and play. And that's exactly what they do here and whatever. And like he says, McCarthy said the president can have meetings with who he wants. I don't think anybody, though, should have a meeting with Nick Fuentes. Now that President Trump knows that these are his views, and to tell you the truth, I really haven't looked up Nick Fuentes. I really could care less about Nick Fuentes. If Nick Fuentes is truly an anti-Semite, if he's a white nationalist, if he's a white supremacist, absolutely, folks. Get what? I have nothing to do with him. I don't. Nothing at all. But that's the narrative, these guys, that just because you met with somebody, wow. When David Duke was supporting, what about Robert KKK? Oh, here's something, Mitch McConnell. What about when Robert KKK Byrd was in the Senate? You were there when he was in the Senate at that time. How come, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton called him mentors at his eulogy? Bill Clinton said, he's a good old boy. You couldn't get elected if you weren't part of the Klan at that time. And Robert KKK Byrd was what? He was a grand poobah. He was at the very top echelons of the KKK at that time, folks. So don't go around, Mitch, telling me, all right, all this stuff about, of course it's not accepted. We know that. It shouldn't be accepted at all. But make the statement and then go right back on the attack and say, but you guys need to take a look at this. And that's what needs to be done. Anyways, we thank you so much for taking the time here to watch our show. You've been watching the Dr. Nasser Sheikh Show here and I am your host, the guest host for today. My name is Dr. Sheikh, and I'll leave you with my final thought like I always do. But before that, hit that subscribe bell if you like our conservative content. Hit that notification bell as well. Like, share, and follow us. And I'll leave you with my final thought. When you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, everyone. Take care and stay safe.